Everyone thinks The Witcher is about Geralt hunting monsters, but honey, the real monsters weren't the monsters. They were the sorcerers of The Witcher. These women were manipulating kings, starting political wars, stealing each other's boyfriends. The drama. So, grab a little sweet treat and an appropriate beverage, and let's talk about the sorcerers of The Witcher. The Lodge of Sorcerers are basically made up of a group of female mages, and they were referred to as a sisterhood because they didn't want stinky men a part of their group. I wish I was joking, but the sorcerers really believed that men were too incompetent to wield magic, so they just were like, we will never let a man join our freaking group, so bye stinky men. The leading baddies are made up of six, seven sorcerers, namely Philippa, Triss, Kira, Sabrina, Sheila. I want to call her Sheila, but she's like Shayla. I'm going to call her Shayla because Shea Butter. Francesca and Asia. And then the new age baddies came along, namely Fringilla, Ida, and Yennefer. And also our baby baddie in this situation is Ciri. She's technically also part of the Lodge of Sorcerers, but we'll get into that eventually. Yeah, I'm calling them sorcerers because I can't. Sorceresses? Sorcery? A lot of the baddies in this lodge are sort of advisors to kings and they hold very high political places in the different kingdoms. Kings love them, the public hates them, men are just like, ah! They hold big importance in the story. Thank you, class. Now that we're all acquainted with our baddies, let's start off with everyone's favorite goth baddie mama, Yennefer of Vengerberg. I'm gonna be putting this on my face. I hope it's good. I hope I don't die. Look at my cute little nails. I know. So, Yennefer. Everyone loves her. Yennefer is a walking red flag, but we still love her. We still love our goth baddie mama. Before becoming one of the most powerful sorceresses alive, she endured an awful childhood and was treated terribly because of her appearance, mainly her hunchback and her jaw abnormalities, and she was treated poorly and terribly by her own parents. So see, Yen is a quarter elf. 1/4 elf on her mom's side, and her mom absolutely resented her for this. Her mom hated the fact that she had elven blood in her. She hated elven blood so much that she tried to actually abort Yennefer in the tummy, but that failed. And obviously she came to fruition, and growing up, the abuse just became worse and worse from both her mom and her dad. It was so severe that her dad was like, I'm gonna dip. I hate this bitch and I can't kill her, but so I'm gonna just head out and go away. And her mom blamed her for her dad's departure and basically abused her more, which was quite terrible. So she endured a lot. Our goth baddie was really a survivor. She eventually became a mage, and girly totally reinvents herself. So if you don't know, when you become a sorcerer/mage, you have magic. But you have the magic to totally just do whatever, and she chose to totally reinvent herself, make herself beautiful, one of the most beautiful females in the kingdom. But it comes at a cost, and that cost was her womb. Okay, same. Take it off me. It's a joke. But emotionally, my girl was in the trenches. Yeah, she was fabulous, fun, and fresh, but she was in the trenches emotionally. She had all the power in the world, but she still felt empty, and she felt like, hey, I could fill up my emptiness with a family. But babes, you can't have a family. So yeah, Miss Thing was miserable for a long time until she met our Lord and Savior Geralt. And baby, mind you, look, one of the most iconic couples in gaming, if I may say. But, their relationship, or I'd rather say their romance, because, that's complicated. Their romance was together, break up, together again, break up. Geralt loses his mind. She becomes emotionally unavailable, and then they get back together again. They meet in the middle after centuries and all that stuff. Very complicated, very fun and fresh. But the two spent decades going back and forth and acting like communication was a side quest. They couldn't communicate, as with a lot of people in the gaming world, for characters. But she still dreams of a life where, they have a home and they have a child of their own, and he absolutely adores her, so it works. You know what I mean? Together forever. I mean, depending on what game you play. Spoilers for The Witcher! If you're playing The Witcher, get out! Don't fucking watch this. But depending on what sort of ending you pick, you and Yennefer actually end up together. So we'll see if they continue that narrative in the newer games. My eye is burning because I don't know how to put on a fucking eye mask. Face mask. So now let's switch gears a bit and let's talk about Triss. Triss and Yennefer are supposed to be friends. Okay, same lodge, same like group, girlies for life. Until one day there's this big battle, and Geralt loses his memory as a consequence of his tragic death. Again, spoilers, I told you, like, get out. So he dies. Oh, FYI, this is in the books. I'm referencing the books. He dies. Yes, that motherfucker dies. But then, like, he's resurrected. Yes, he is alive. He is risen. I love Geralt. And that's when Geralt loses his memory and he's trying to like piece back together like what's what, you know? And Triss is like, you don't remember Yennefer? I got your back. She and Yen supposed to be friends. A whore, I know. But alas, she tries to pursue him. And this is a little controversial because depending on like whether you read the book or whether you played the games, people still debate how bad things actually were. For context, Triss essentially used magic on him to sort of make him fall in love with her. Very messed up, I know. They're mages, they're witches. I told you it was going to be drama. So she sort of cooks up a cute little spell and she like makes her like sexy, whatever, and he falls for her and they like have a little thing. Again, depending on what you read or what you played. In another version, people think that like Geralt just like fell for her naturally, whatever. Those people, wrong. She manipulated him. Loser. Regardless, like imagine your best friend's boyfriend loses his mind and you're like, this is my chance. This is, you know. And the fandom has never been the same. The fandom is either like fandom Triss or fandom Yen, and honestly whoever picks Triss, wrong. Get them out. If you see a Triss and Geralt shipper in public, punch them. Philippa is basically the master manipulator. If the lodge had an HR department, Philippa would be like the reason why it exists. She is just violation of violation. While everybody's playing Triss, she's playing trickers, babe. She is manipulating rulers. She's controlling information. If she was alive in the age of today, she would be the one like sending out the bots, spreading misinformation, paying the tea channels to like spill false tea. That would be Philippa. She is at the head, so she would be advising like President Trump, whatever he's doing. Philippa, it's her. It's Philippa. That's how bad she is. If anything shady happened in the northern like kingdoms in The Witcher, Philippa was probably somewhere looking very suspicious. She was like, it wasn't me, but like really it was me. It's my work. Thank you. Fringilla is interesting. So she is what we call the rebound queen. Love it to bits. She was also involved with Geralt of the Rivia. And the problem is a lot of people suspect that Geralt is partly seeing Yennefer while he is with Fringilla, which is like just, you know, swapping spit. Gross, yuck. Imagine realizing you're basically like a fantasy rebound for a guy that can't keep his dick in his pants. Yeah, poor queen. That's why she's our rebound queen. She's our rebound queen. We love her. Fringilla. Margarita is basically like the headmaster trying to keep everything together. Like, poor thing. Honestly, her biggest crime being associated with these women. Compared to the other lodge members, Margarita is pretty normal and also very reasonable. Francesca is basically the like elven queen with a grudge. Let me explain. Francesca is beautiful, also very powerful, but her interest is deeply rooted in the sort of investment into the future of the elves. She repeatedly makes decisions and mistakes to benefit the elves, who are sort of the enemy in the story, kind of sort of, and even at like the cost or the expense of her lodge friends, her sisterhood. Kira is sort of the gremlin chaos incarnate. Kira gets involved with very dangerous magical research and she decides that she can handle things herself. Spoiler, she cannot. And depending on what you choose in the game, this can end very, very badly. I'm not going to spoil anything because you should go and like follow her story. It's kind of fun. She's a very fun character for me personally in The Witcher. And yeah, she is just a ball of chaos. Love that. Sabrina is basically another walking HR violation. Sabrina becomes involved with sort of magical warfare and atrocities that eventually lead to one of the most infamous executions in Witcher history. She gets burned at the stake. She gets burned at the stake and somehow makes everyone's life worse. Sabrina was so controversial that people are still dealing with the aftermath of her actions, even while she's dead. That to me, iconic. I love an iconic queen. Sheila, she is basically the person that thinks they're the smartest person in the room, but they're kind of not. She gets tangled up into one of the most controversial sort of conspiracies, political conspiracies in the entire series. The problem is she thinks she's controlling the narrative and everything, and meanwhile she is not. Her downfall sort of comes from believing that, like, yeah, she's in control and like she's like playing everybody. Meanwhile, everyone else is playing 4D chess and she's just like the freaking clown of everything. Assia is Nilfgaard's representation, if that makes sense. She is giving double agent energy. My girl. So Assia is constantly sort of balancing the lodge and their interests with Nilfgaard's interests as well. So she's playing both fields. Mind you, Nilfgaard is sort of the enemies in this case, kind of sort of to some of the mages. So and everyone sort of wonders where her loyalty lies, and nobody really likes wondering whether they're like secretly being reported on to like the emperor or like, you know, whatever, like what could happen, because Nilfgaard sort of controls everything and everyone and head of state. So yeah, she's playing both field and people just like, shady bitch, don't like you. The lodge sounds cool and it sounds fun, like a secret organization run by women, but it was not. It was a freaking disaster. It was horrible. Yeah, everyone just had their own agendas. Like, it's supposed to be a sisterhood, but everyone had their own sort of reason for being there and what they personally wanted. Yen wanted to be the most powerful one. Philippa wanted to control the whole fucking world. Triss wanted Geralt. Like, it was a mess. And some of the sorceresses in there were very like hands-on into Ciri. Ciri is a very important character in The Witcher 3 because we spend the whole of the game trying to find her, and she's very special to everybody and anybody. So, you know, it's like having this nuclear weapon and you having the codes to do whatever you want and like no one can say anything. That was sort of what Ciri was in the game. The lodge just became this like big political spider web all of a sudden, where everyone was trying to influence rulers to do their bidding and their thing to like get Ciri or whatever else, and no one trusted each other. But for the sake of just like peace and like sisterhoodship, they just stuck it out. I guess the lodge as a whole is just like, yeah, it's just a messy congregation of messy stuff. Conglomerate of messy stuff, keeping secrets from each other, manipulating each other, using Ciri as a political asset to gain power. Because remember, Ciri is the daughter of the head of state in the Nilfgaard land. She is the daughter of the king. So using her as like a political asset while sort of fronting as like her friend, her bestie, her buddy. It's a story where all of these ladies think they are the main character of the story when they're sort of just like moving parts to the bigger grander scheme of things. Obviously, I could go into more detail about these things, but I have a place to be, and I just wanted to bring you guys the absolute the mess that is the lodge of the sisterhoods. I mean, you would think powerful mages are serious beings, but no, they're all just like clowns in their own way, and I love them for it. Favorite source of all time will always be Yennefer. Love my girl Yennefer. Love her down. Love her down. Oh yeah, that was just my own little sort of tidbit about the sorceresses of the lodge. Love my girl son. Tell me in the comments who's your favorite sorceress. They're all a mess, but you know, who's your favorite sorceress? Thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you in the next video. Stay safe and happy gaming, gamers. Bye.